Heavyweight champion of the world Sonny Liston was said to have been spooked by young and up-and-coming contender Muhammad Ali. Liston believed Ali to be crazy. Prison had taught Liston that the people you had to fear most were the crazies, because crazies lived in a world of delusions and were hence dangerous. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg lives in a world of delusions and is hence dangerous. Speaking about Ukraine to a Norwegian youth camp recently, Stoltenberg declared, "We are seeing acts of war, attacks on civilians and destruction not seen since World War II. We cannot be indifferent to this." There are at least two problems with this statement. In the first place, Stoltenberg has conveniently forgotten NATO's own war against Yugoslavia in 1999. NATO attacks on civilians and destruction included attacks on marketplaces, television stations, civilian passenger trains, refugee convoys, hospitals, and old age people's homes. The second problem is that Stoltenberg made it sound as if NATO only got involved in Ukraine in February 2022. Nothing could be further from the truth, as Stoltenberg himself has admitted. Addressing the NATO summit in Madrid in June, Stoltenberg boasted, "NATO allies have supported Ukraine since 2014. We didn't just wake up in February 2022. The Ukrainian armed forces are much better trained, much larger, much better commanded in 2022 than they were in 2014, and that thanks to NATO." So there we have it, straight from the horse's mouth. NATO has indeed been turning Ukraine into an armed hostile camp on Russia's borders, just as the Russians have been contending for years. But Stoltenberg's most dangerous delusion is his insistence that NATO is not a party to the conflict in Ukraine because NATO has no troops on the ground in Ukraine. Stoltenberg may or may not be telling the truth about the troops on the ground, but it really doesn't matter. If you're sending in shoulder-fired man-pad systems, anti-ship missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, Stinger missiles, drones, tanks, armored personnel carriers, helicopters, howitzers, multiple launch rocket systems, high-mobility artillery rocket systems, then yes, Jens, you are a party to the conflict.